Hey everyone, I hope you all are doing alright. I've heard a lot of people ask this question: does God exist? Or prove to me that God exists? Well, I thought about making a video about this topic, and I've got 10 points about the existence of God. I can't prove to you that God exists, because proof has to do with science, not philosophy or history. For example, through historical evidence, we can know if George Washington is the first president of the USA. We can't bring him back every 30th April to take an oath to prove that he is the first president of the USA. Similarly, we live our life by evidence, not proof. All our relationships and friendships in life has to do with evidence. We can prove that a person loves us. That person may very well be acting and can deceive us. But by looking at their actions, we see the evidence and can conclude that indeed this person loves us. So I have 10 points that are evidence, not proof, for the existence of God. Here we go. Point number 1. Order and design. Imagine we are standing near Mount Rushmore and I tell you, hey, look at that. Isn't it incredible as the water just dripped over the rock and accidentally carved out the face of George Washington, Teddy Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, and Thomas Jefferson? You will probably look at me and say, are you a fool? It didn't happen by accident, but it was carved by someone. Well, that someone who carved it had a mind. You don't get order and design by chance or accident. Order and design point to a designer. Designer genes demand a designer. Order and design point to an intelligent mind. Just look at the world around you. The animals, the birds, the flowers, the trees, they all have design. You don't get design by chance. You need a mind to design. Design demands a designer. And the intelligent mind behind the order and design of the universe is who or what we call God. Point number 2. The Big Bang. So far, the evidence shows that the universe is not eternal. Everything that has a beginning has a cause. The universe had a beginning, therefore the universe has a cause. The best explanation is an uncaused cause. That's who or what we call God. Point number 3. DNA. The amount of densely packed information in the DNA of a single cell demands an intelligent mind. Mobiles have around 64 to 512 gigabytes of storage. PCs have around 500 gigabytes to 4 terabytes of storage. They were made by someone who has an intelligent mind and who made them for a purpose. Now let's look at the cell of a human body. Just a single gram of a cell has around 215 petabytes of information. A single petabyte contains 1024 terabytes. Each human has around 30 trillion cells in their body according to scientists. Now you do the math. It is far more reasonable to conclude that the human cell was created by an intelligent mind for a purpose. You never get densely packed information by random chance or fate. Point number 4. Irreducible complexity. The idea that nothing works until everything works. The classic example is a mousetrap, which is irreducibly complex in that if one of its several pieces is missing or not in the right place, it will not function as a mousetrap. Many systems, features, and processes of life are irreducibly complex. What good is a circulatory system without a heart? Natural selection has no foresight and works to eliminate anything not providing an immediate benefit. Just look at the human eye. If any one of these parts are missing from the eye, it won't work. And Charles Darwin pointed out that if something is irreducibly complex, the whole idea of evolution by fate and by chance falls apart. Point number 5. Moral absolutes. The slaughter of innocent children is never good. It's always evil. The rape of a woman is evil. It's not subjectively evil, but absolutely evil. If you don't believe in moral absolutes and you think morality is subjective or depends on the culture, then don't tell the rapist what he did is absolutely or really evil. Because remember, for you rape may be wrong, but for the rapist, it's right according to his subjective morality. So you can't hold him accountable for what his preference is. If morality is subjective, then it's just a preference people have. For example, chocolate ice cream or vanilla ice cream, killing a child or feeding a child. It's just preference and nothing right or wrong about it. If God doesn't exist, then morality is subjective. But if God exists, then moral absolutes exist, and justice exists outside of a person's preference or what a culture says. Moral absolutes demand a moral lawgiver. Point number 6. Love. Our experience of love tells us that there is more to reality than just matter and energy. There is this innate human ability that we have to genuinely care. It's more than just a biochemical reaction in our brain. If there is no God, then there is no such thing as love, and life is just matter and energy. So when your girlfriend or boyfriend says that they love you, it just means that they have some chemical reaction in their brain and you just sexually excite them. But there is no real value of love if God doesn't exist. Point number 7. Rational mind. Rational mind points to a rational God. It's foolish to believe that the rational comes from the irrational. Charles Darwin wrote a letter in 1883 to a man named Mr. Graham, in which he wrote, and I quote, "If it's true that our minds are highly developed monkeys' minds, why do we trust them to tell us the truth about reality? Would you trust the thoughts of a monkey?" End quote. Here Charles Darwin is struggling from epistemological nihilism, which says you can't know anything because your mind is an accident. It comes from the irrational. But my friend, your mind is not an accident. Your mind is so complex that it's amazing. It's far more rational to believe that your mind comes from a rational being than it comes from the irrational. Point number 8. Meaning and purpose of life. You as a human being have an innate drive for meaning in life. You are always attaching meaning to your life, but the only way if there can be any meaning is if God created you for a purpose. If there is no God, then life is ultimately meaningless. Now you might say, yes, life is meaningless, and it's fine if you believe that, but what you have to ask yourself is, why not commit suicide? Because your life is totally insignificant. Albert Camus, the great atheistic philosopher, said, and I quote, "The only question modern man must answer is, why not commit suicide?" End quote. Now maybe you're gonna choose not to, it's fine, but if you're gonna genuinely tell me that God doesn't exist but you have never seriously considered suicide, then you're not being intellectually consistent and honest. See, the innate drive for meaning is an indicator that God has left within you and me, that God has created us for a purpose. Point number 9. Historical resurrection of Jesus Christ. If you believe that Jesus was just a fictional character, then tell me, what is the year today? After who? We are living in the year 2021 after Christ. History tells us that Jesus was indeed a real person who lived, died, and rose again from the dead. If you think that history is not a reliable source of knowledge, then why do you pay your school or university to teach you history? As science is a form of knowledge about how the organism works and the repeatability of an experiment, history is another form of knowledge which is based on the eyewitness testimony and archaeological evidence. Jesus didn't walk on the island of Atlantis, but he walked in Galilee, Jerusalem, Nazareth, which are archaeologically verified places, and Jesus Christ has even more manuscript evidence than Julius Caesar, Plato, Aristotle, Homer combined. The New Testament has over 24,000 manuscripts and over 5,200 Greek manuscripts which were written during the period from 50 to 100 AD. I can't provide all the evidence in one video with all the points, but I will make a separate video on this topic. Point number 10. Life. I've never seen life come from non-life. An atheist believes that life comes from non-life. You talk about a blind leap of faith. That has got to be the biggest blind leap of faith I could ever imagine. Why? Because all of my observation tells me that human life comes from human life, plant life comes from plant life, animal life comes from animal life. You never get the animate from the inanimate. But the atheist is someone who is saying, oh no, but there is one exception to all of this. In the beginning, life comes from non-life. That's incredible that you could be so naive to believe that, because in all of our experiences, we see that life comes from life. Never once have we seen life come from non-life ever. So these are my 10 pieces of evidence that God exists. Thank you for being patient enough to watch this whole video. If you liked this video, then be sure to click the thumbs up button and subscribe to my channel for more videos. If you believe I have missed something, or if you have any questions or suggestions, you can write them in the comments or you can contact me on my Instagram. The link is in the description below. God bless you and see you soon.